Hey, all you cool cats and kittens out there. We're going to go ahead and move on. And once we have our four walls at least cut out, we're going to go ahead and begin to add windows and doors. So, just a few things before we get started to kind of explain to you. Windows do get installed at different various heights. I think it depends on what type of window it is, how big the window is. So there's a bunch of different things that play into it. But let's say that this is my wall. And so we're going to go ahead and put the window in. We're just going to cut a hole out. But typically, windows are about 2 feet 6 inches from the floor. So again, this is the floor. This is my I before E, except after C. So this is my ceiling. Our windows that we're going to install into this vacation home are going to be roughly, we're just going to call them 3 feet today. So 3 feet exactly on the dot. Uh, just for our purposes, obviously, in the kitchen, the window would be much smaller, but we're just going to keep everything fairly uniform. So that's one thing, windows. So we're going to learn today how to draw windows in. The other thing that I need to just briefly touch base on with you are doors. And in our vacation home, it'd be our sliding glass doors also. So with doors, typically the height of a door in a home is about 80 inches. That 80 inches really equates to 6 feet 8 inches. So from sort of the ground, so again, this is my ceiling, this is the floor, the height of the door, because it starts at the bottom, is 6 foot 8 inches. So we're going to go ahead and begin to draw those in on the next day in class. So some of you are watching this video because you're getting ready to do it. Others of you are watching it in class right now because we're working on it. I'm going to go ahead and grab a wall. This is one of the ones that I have here. I have that 8 foot. Just ignore that. I have that in there just from the last lesson. I think one of the first things that we do need to do is, because we don't have a compass rose, I'm just going to add one. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. North, south, and then west and east. I always remembered it as we. We need to find, or at least figure out how long our wall is. We can easily use an architectural ruler, or because we already drew it out, or in class I gave you a copy of it, just because we're so fluid with everything we're doing. But I'm going to measure up the one end down here for our start part. And then right here, here's the end of our wall. Matter of fact, I can kind of just make 2 marks. I can already tell you that right here, this is going to be one of our walls. This is where I'm going to cut the wall. Since this is an area that I'm not going to use right now, I know for my own point of view, this is the north wall. So I'm going to write this down. And just for denoting things, this is my ceiling. This is going to be my floor. I'm using pen because it pops more. I would recommend for you guys, just write hard with pencil. That way, if you have to erase something, you can. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put it back there. Notice the end, and then here's the end of my other wall. And I'm going to mark in the beginning of and the end of my windows. So I got my windows in. I also notice here that I have a door. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I put everything back to where it is. I'm just going to denote where my door is. So I can always bring it back here. I can see what's happening. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to make life a little easier on me. I'm going to go ahead, put the ceiling here, and I'm going to do those marks again. That way everything kind of sort of stays centered in. I think we're going to end up with a better product as we're going through things. So I know my window is going to be here. I have another window here. I'm going to have a door here, and then I'm going to have a smaller window there. Now the next thing we have to sort of do is measure up. And I'm going to go turn it here. This is my floor. I'm going to find 1/4. Here we go. I have 1/4 scale. And we said that it is going to start 2.5 feet up. So here's 2 feet, here's a half. And I also know that it's going to go 3 feet high. So if I'm already at 2.5 feet, that means it would be, well, 2.5 plus 3 is 5.5. So here is 5.5. I could also have done this. I could have moved my ruler. 0 and 3, there's my 3 feet. I'm going to go ahead, do the same thing down here. Make sure I'm at 0. And I'm going to mark off 2.5 feet and then 5.5 feet. So right there is going to be where my window is. I'm going to do my best to kind of, and maybe I should have done these first. You could always erase if you need to. I'm going to mark my top and bottom marks, and then that will help me draw the line. And there we go. I got my first window of my building here that I have. The next thing that I'm going to do is I would put another window here, another window down here. But let's work on the door, because I know that this is going to be the door. I would do it in order. I'm just going to show you how to do a door. We said that a door, and this is going to be my door and my door. I'm going to find, we said it was going to be 80 inches, which is 6 feet, 8 inches. So I'm looking at 1/4. Here we go. Here's my 1/4. Six foot, 6.5. I'm just going to eyeball 8, which is just a little bit higher. I'm going to go back to my next one. 6 foot, 6.5. 6'8" would be roughly right there. So I'm going to start from my bottom mark that I had. And there you go. I've got my door. So the door is there. I've already got my window. I do need to put another window and another window right here. This window is going to be quite skinny, but that's okay. To move on, then you go ahead, you pick another wall. You pick another wall and then another wall. Label it. Put the ceiling, put the floor. Mark the top, mark the bottom. Then, again, remember, windows are 2.5 feet off the ground, and they're roughly 3 feet high. Doors start at the floor, and they go up to 6 foot, 8 inches. Hopefully that sort of helps you with this next part. Now, when you get to class, let's get her done. If you're in class right now, let's get her done. All right. Peace.